Give me your top 5 all-time women's hoopers.
Man, my answer changes all the time. So Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore. Couldn't agree with you more on Maya. They're in there for sure. Sometimes I put Brianna Stewart in there. Sometimes I don't, only because she's like current.
She just went crazy.
Yeah, but this can't be a UConn starting 5 though.
I know and it's like, but tell me where I'm wrong. Like, tell me. No,
What's up, y'all? Excited about today's episode. Today we are joined by a true hoops legend in every sense of the word legend, one of the greatest players of all time, 4-time WNBA champion, 2-time NCAA champion, 5-time EuroLeague champion, 5-time Olympic champion. Wow. Yes, 5 times. And a hero in the movement for equality in women's sports. E.T. likes to say the Ohio State. Well, this is one of those instances where we say the again, the Sue Bird. Welcome to Point Forward.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being on. Appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited.
I think we might be more excited than you, actually.
Well, until you shouted out the Ohio State, I was like, oh, God. And he has the shirt on.
Oh, yeah, I got it. And I got to hear it all the time.
Come on.
You are who you are, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I can't complain. It could be worse. I could have been went to Michigan or something.
We just started the WNBA season recently, and you're in a different type of seat.
Yep.
What type of seat are we in now?
Oh, man. Well, we're in 2 different types of seats. We're in a courtside seat. That was my vantage point on opening day for the Storm. I went to the Storm, played the Aces. It did not go well for my former team. That's okay. It was weird being on that side, but also felt very peaceful. I feel so good about the decision. And that was kind of like, I keep saying nail in the coffin. It's like a morbid way of saying it, but that was like the final hurdle of like, how do you feel about this retirement? Like going to a game was like that final moment of like, all right, I'm cool. But I do work with Corona, and we're doing this like fun sweepstakes for people. They can go on IG. I think it's the week of June 7th, hashtag some things. And there's actually a finer recliner that has been made. It's kind of like an ode to my retirement. So that's the other seat that I'm pushing right now.
You got any extras?
There's 5.
Oh, there's 5.
I'll see what I can do, though.
Okay. Well,
it's exclusive.
That's what I'm trying to get to. I haven't announced. They put me in the grave early. You know, ET and I were laughing about this last week, a couple episodes ago, where my retirement was announced by the new fake media, which is the new internet. But it's always up for consideration. And so
I was going to say, nothing official is happening, though.
Nothing official happened, but between you and I'm going to be taking a lot of advice today. So I'm holding on to every word you say. ET's going to have fun this episode, whereas I'm taking life experiences, and I'm going to try to tap into that world. So I'm understanding that the first game that I watch after retirement will tell the story.
Yeah, it'll take your temperature a little bit, you know, because it'll be presumably, if you retire, it'll be like months after that. Maybe who knows? But for me, it was like I retired. Well, I announced during the season, so
Gotcha.
it was like a definite.
Yeah.
So it was like I was definitely done, and then I had months in the off season to kind of like see how I feel, new schedule, new life, new routine. But everybody was kind of stressing me out. They were like, oh, but how are you going to feel when the season starts? And I was like, shoulder shrug. I don't know. Find out. And then I was cool. So,
I mean, that's good to hear, because Larry Fitzgerald, who's a big golfer, and I finally was able to pick up a golf club like yesterday. But he was telling me never retire. And I'm thinking to myself, it hurts. I'm at the point now where basketball
like, retire
hurts.
Immediately. What do you mean?
But
No, it's different for everybody. Different for everybody.
this is true, but I want to, I really want to tap in because, we'll get into your, your accolades and everything you've done on and off the court. But, I like talking about off the court endeavors. And I think the new athlete has taken advantage of, the opportunities that were never available to us before. And, we got to thank those that came before us that, paved this path, and you've obviously paved the path the way you have. I want to talk about the show you and Diana Taurasi have, which is hilarious.
Wow.
And I want to know how you get away with what you get away with. But before I get into that, I do want to talk about Corona. So I've always been afraid of any alcohol beverage, like my whole life, just because the stigmas behind anything that is not healthy for you as an athlete. I've always ran from, but. And we're pretty candid here on Point Forward. Corona, it was the drink choice of African Americans where I come from. So if there is something I'm going to drink, I'm going to grab a Corona. I think they put limes in it too. So
you got to flip it upside down and put your nasty finger up in there, and then, the good old routine.
I have another way for you to try it, though.
I never heard of this.
Yeah, I would love to know, because this finger goes through a lot. So throughout the day.
It's so funny. I use my thumb, but basically take the lime, put it go around the rim with it, and then get some salt and salt the rim. Then put the lime in. If you don't want to stick your finger, ask the person next to you, I guess. I don't know. Then put the lime in and then lick and drink.
This is a crazy
Next
description of.
I know. This could go in a lot of directions.
So we're reminding y'all that we're talking about drinking the beer for all you adults out there.
You asked how we get away with it. This is how you just do it.
So I want to dive into that. How has it been, with that part of the transition? Because, we're in the media space, Evan and I are now, and you and Diana seem to have one of the top shows on ESPN. So how did that come about? I know you've had that close relationship with her for a while. But how did that come about? And then how do you treat that project? Is it fun, or do you do deep dives? Does it take a lot of your brain space? What's that transition been like?
Yeah, kind of all of the above. So this past Final Four, we've only done it for the women's Final Four. This past Final Four was only the second year. Mm-hmm. So it's new, it's fresh. Because it's only once a year, I think that gives it this unique kind of must-see TV vibe to it.
Saucy, you trying to get spicy.
Especially when in year one, Diana was saying all kinds of wild stuff. It just, it took on went a lot of different directions. But yeah, I think what was cool was year one was so special in that it was new. We didn't know what we were doing. They just threw us in front of the camera and we're like, go. And so now all of a sudden, and you guys know as athletes, we're all very good at being interviewed. Yeah. But interviewing is this totally different thing, And we had no idea what we were doing. But I think that was actually part of what pulled people in. We were just being ourselves. And we do go way back. We're legitimately, genuinely best friends, went to college together, played overseas together, Olympics together, the whole 9 yards. And so we have our interaction is very authentic. And so a lot of people would come up and say how they felt like they were sitting on the couch with us watching the game. And I think that's what gives it, that's where the special sauce is in terms of what we were doing. Mm-hmm. And then by year two, we got a little more serious. We were all right, let's prepare for these guests. Whereas the year before, we literally were winging it. We had no idea what we were doing. And this year we prepared a little bit more, but still the spontaneity of it. We had Lil Wayne come on. All of a sudden,
that was dope.
Yeah. And then you just kind of have to go with it. And that's what makes it, that's where the viral videos come from. Just kind of those spontaneous moments. But we had a great time doing it. I hope we're able to continue to do it.
Yeah, you just scratched the surface, in regards to that on what you do for women's sports. Does that stem from, the conversation you had with Gino your sophomore year when he said everything that goes wrong out there is your fault? Did you kind of set that tone for the rest of everything? I'm going to play 20 out of 27 years in the WNBA. I'm going to cross over and go do this and bring a lot more attention to, the little girls of the world and, their talents.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up. In college, it's you're kind of just figuring out who you are as a person. Like not even just like in all the ways, you know, like forget standing up for other people. Like you're trying to figure out who you are. And when he had those early conversations with me, I think he's really, what makes him special. I always joke with him. I'm like, it's not your X's and O's, buddy. It's not that. But he does have this, it's a little bit of that, but he does have this just innate, unique way of like tapping into people, like seeing them for who they are and like tapping into that and pulling it out. And for me, I think what he saw was someone who I got along with everybody and I was a little shy when I was younger. And he was just trying to connect, like, listen, everybody does look to you, listen to you, and now you have to like step into that. And that's kind of where so everything that goes wrong is your fault. Came from. But I really started to believe in that and like embody that. And, you know, like I said, when you're that age, it's this foundation, you're figuring yourself out. And that's a big part of my foundation, like the foundation of my character that I took with me. And then it became through time, through experience, through years, just easier to speak on tougher issues, easier to, you know, because I knew myself, I could help others and kind of lend that voice. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, I got a question on UConn. So, you know, you got certain universities known for football schools. Then you got certain universities that are known for basketball schools. And ET, who were we joking with? Who we had on a guest about basketball and football?
Wagner? Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner. So we were always joking.
Okay.
Yeah. We were always joke about that, right? And but you know, I'm really good friends with a couple UConn guys. But Rudy Gay is one of my good friends, and you know, I heard there was some. You know, so at Arizona, we got carte blanche on the court time. You know, I mean, we would switch. We would go later from time to time with the women's team, but it was. Even the volleyball coach would say, I know who pays the bills around here. So you guys get to say what time practice is.
Oh, Rudy say.
Right. So Rudy didn't say anything, but he did say that Calhoun and Gino could bump heads on who run stores. And so
that's tough, bro. That's probably, that's super. Really?
I just, you know, they coexisted. And I actually have a good relationship. You know, I tore my ACL my freshman year, so I was just in the training room the whole time. Mm-hmm. And Coach Calhoun worked out in there every like lunchtime or whatever. So he and I became like homies. He'd be like on the Versa climber. I was on like the bike, and we became homies. That was like my guy my freshman year. But him and Coach Auriemma, they had like a complex relationship, I think.
So who ran stores?
I mean, how does anyone pick this?
Stop. Gino ran it, bro. Like back in the day, everybody was screaming UConn women's basketball, dog. It was Gino's campus. It's not even close. Diana Taurasi. Around that time, I was a kid in the city. Gino was a big name.
He still is. But it's kind of like the LeBron. It's kind of like the LeBron Jordan argument. Like at some point, it's just easier to be like, Jordan won 6 times, so it's Jordan. Like Coach Auriemma has 11, y'all.
It ain't the same.
11.
It ain't the same at all.
It ain't the same.
You're talking about Jordan and LeBron. We're like, it's not the same. So this isn't a good analogy.
If you say Bron, Kobe,
the championships.
If you say Bron, Kobe, they both got 5.
Yeah, they both got 5. No, I'm saying you pick. I'm just saying if it's hard to pick, go by the number of championships.
Okay, all right. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what I'm saying.
Yes, ma'am. You are right. My apologies.
So, you know, take us back to the early start of like, you know, me and Diana Taurasi, but you know, what it was like, because the game of women's basketball pretty much went with, you know, you all's journey, because you guys were, you know, right time, right moment. You guys were able to have, you know, lightning strike twice with all the success you had, and going from there of, you know, leaving there to being, you know, a WNBA All-Star starter as a rookie. Talk about like that journey of, you know, kind of see it become this big little thing of yours.
Yeah, it's been crazy because I feel really lucky that I played as long as I did, because I kind of got to see it. Like when I was in college, like you said, like we were a big deal. Like even the Final Four this past year, they broke the record for viewership. And we were looking up numbers as we were covering that finals game. And it's crazy because I think the record for viewership prior to that was my senior year. And like, I want to say the record for attendance is still my senior year. And so it's kind of interesting to think about it in that way, because when I was coming out of college, like UConn women's basketball, like was a big deal. And for probably 15 plus years of my career, up until the last couple years, people connect me with UConn more than the WNBA, or they had. You know, like people would maybe see me on the street like, oh, I loved you at Connecticut. What are you doing in Seattle? I'm like,
Yo, that's
my team's here, dog. Like, what do you mean?
yeah, that's like the backhanded compliment I get. They were like, "Yo, Evan Turner, I fuck with you at Ohio State," and legit just ignore the rest of my pro career.
Yeah,
Which makes sense.
So it was weird. Like coming into the WNBA, the WNBA was still on a little bit of the we got next high, right? Like the Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops starting the league, but it started to sadly like plateau a little bit, and it kind of like hit a lull for many years. And so to play as long as I did, to now see it come back around, where it's got momentum, it's got hype to it, and I would definitely say the last couple of years, I'm definitely getting more love for being a WNBA player than for being a UConn player. That's like I've like felt and seen that change. That's pretty special. I'm really glad I got to experience that.
Now, I was going to go further into, you know, I'm part of the union. You know, I was vice president for many, many years, and we've had a lot of discussions about, you know, what are different ways that, you know, we can help in any way possible or be of value. It's like a board seat for the W. And so I want you to put on your commissioner's hat. You know, I got a question about the NBA too. I hope you can fix, because we got a big problem ourselves. But what are some things you feel like has been instituted as of recently that's been helping, and some things you think would further the interest and you know, help with the viewership with the league as well?
Yeah, I think for a while, the biggest one of the biggest hurdles with the WNBA was just like the optics of it, like the word on the street about the league. Like there was this like word on the street, they're all poor, you know, word on the street, like the game is bad. It was like all of these narratives were just being told, and they were not accurate. You know, like anytime someone would post something about, it's like anytime they post something, we'll use the NBA, it's easy. Nobody says about the NBA, like what the lowest paid player is making. They'll just tell you what the highest paid player is making. And there was like something with our league where all they wanted to focus on was the minimum salary and never wanted to talk about the maximum salary. Not that the max at that time was that high or anything, but it was just this weird, like just the storylines were always negative, or always, if there was a spectrum, always at the low end of the spectrum. And so I think in the last CBA, we really wanted to try to change that, you know, because the realities are different, right? Some of the realities financially have to do with all of us playing overseas. Like that's where I made 90% of my money probably. But at the same time, to have people speak like on your salary in a negative way was weird, because it wasn't like the reality of our lives. So we really want to change the optics. And a big part of that, I think, is trying to encourage people to have like genuine, authentic relationships to the WNBA, like actually watch it. Because like for you guys at the NBA, it does matter when you speak on the WNBA, or like if you watch a game or if you go to a game, like it does matter, because that's the optics part of it, right? The same way like when celebrities go to NBA games, like it matters. Like people are like, oh shit, so-and-so's at that game, you know? So that was definitely something we just wanted to try to change different storylines and narratives. One of the big ones is the financial piece of it. And we were able to like bump the max up.
Yep.
Got it from like 110 to like 220. And that was just in year one. So it'll continue to go up. And in a lot of ways, if a WNBA player stays home and kind of cashes out on all the different off the court opportunities too, they can make like $500,000, you know? Oh. And then the other thing is like, just because I don't make LeBron money doesn't mean I'm poor. Like nobody makes LeBron money. LeBron makes LeBron money.
Not even me. I get that all the time. Friends will be like, well, LeBron bought his friend a car, or LeBron got this. I always tease my friend. He used to be like, LeBron got office space for his friends. I'd be like, LeBron got LeBron money.
Yeah.
You dealing with my money. There ain't no office space.
Right. So it's interesting, like different optics. Meanwhile, obviously you make a lot of money. And by the way, not that it's all about the money, but it's just like, that's how people value stuff. You value things like with the dollar sign. So, that was like a big piece in our CBA, but just one of like many big pieces.
Yeah. Well, you went tons of places to play. Obviously, NCAA, Storm, Olympics 5 times, and, you know, overseas. What was your most favorite memorable season, and also your toughest championship to win? Like, what's one thing where one trophy you grab or ring you grab, and you're like, yo, this was the one that made me do like a crazy cry? Like,
Yeah.
Was it a win versus Diana in any sense, or like a sweet moment? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, so the 2018 ring that we won here, we had started, you know, we had a lot of success, and we started a rebuild just a couple of years before that. And that rebuild went on like the fast track because we drafted your girl, Jewel, in 2015, and then Stewie in 2016. Go Mamba, yep. So now we have this like young kind of like foundation that we can, whatever. But still, like all of a sudden it's 2018. I want to say that year, preseason, we got picked to finish like, you know, out of 12 teams, we got picked to finish like 7th or 8th. Expectations were not great. And we go on to like win the West and win the whole thing. So for me, being like the older player on the team, to go through a rebuild that fast and get to the other side and actually win, I think that championship will always have like a special place in my heart. It just so happens that we did beat Phoenix and Diana in like a decisive game 5. It was a 5-game series in the semis to go to the finals. So, you know, kind of, it's like a nice little cherry on top. So I think that one is the one that stands out. But then there's a couple, you know, in the Olympics, in Russia, because it's different. It's like a grind. Some of these games you had to like really grind. And the difference is it's like college, it's one and done. So when you play in EuroLeague, those are like Final Four games. Mm-hmm. Like you go to a Final Four and you have one, it's not a series. And can you imagine? I mean, it's kind of like the play-in now, but can you imagine you're playing the NBA Finals and it's one game?
One game.
For professionals, like it's so close.
Yeah, you scratching, you're scratching and clawing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You probably get a fair whistle though, so that's the benefit of it. You get a fair whistle. They don't try to take it to 6-7 games. I'm messing with these 2 refs that once I retire, I'm on them.
I think they're trying to go
I'm on their head when I'm retired. I've been wanting to ask this for a while. You know, I listen to a lot of, you know, it's a business breakdown podcast, and there's another podcast called Acquired, where it's just basically business pods on, you know, profit and loss sheets, you know, CAGRs and margins, and, you know, different ways the companies from, you know, inception, from the thought of starting a company all the way to present time. And it goes from companies like Google all the way to companies like, you know, Disney and Sports Illustrated, different things. So, but I had a question in terms of, because I did the NFL podcast, that was incredible, NBA one. I think Evan and I are going to do the WNBA one. We're going to mark our words. We're going to do a deep dive on it, just to, you know, how the league was built, the financials of it, because it's a subsidiary of the NBA. Actually, you know, it sits underneath it. So I'm sure we can get the information we need. But my question is more overseas. You see, like you said before, 90% of the money made is overseas. So I was always
that's the right number.
But
you get the point.
67.
There you go.
I've had conversations with Simone Augustus, who was probably one of my favorite players, my second favorite player all time after Maya Moore. And she was like Carmelo Anthony to me, you know, just the way she could score the ball.
Yeah.
And I remember hanging out with her one night in Philly, and she was saying, you know, she makes, you know, double, triple what she makes in a W overseas. Mm-hmm. And so I always was interested in the financials and how the leagues work, the funding, you know, the TV rights, the ticket sales. And so did you ever go that deep into the leagues that you play for? And, you know, do you ever talk about why you have so much success financially overseas as opposed to here in the U.S.?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So overseas does not operate. The business model is not what we have come to know in the U.S. of like how sports leagues work. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's not even in the same, it's just different. And the way it usually works over there, and I played in Russia my entire career. I played for 3 different teams. And while the models were like subtly different, there was a lot of similarities. Some of it was as simple, and I'm not even joking, as just like someone had a lot of money and liked women's basketball.
Yeah, oligarchs, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of oligarchs over there.
Oligarch Park probably didn't hurt. Yeah. But literally, you know, like one of the owners that I played for, he was actually quoted in an article once saying this. I thought it was great, but we talked about it. He was like, listen, I'm rich. I have a ton of money. And some rich people like to buy cars, and they have 30 cars. And some people like to buy, boats. Some people like to gamble. Some people like to invest in wine, right? All things that are just like enjoyable for them. He was like, I like women's basketball and I want to have the best team. So I'm going to invest in that. It wasn't about ticket sales. It wasn't about jersey sales. I don't even know if our games were on TV. Like there was no TV deal. It wasn't like that at all. But overseas, like I said, the models also include like government plays a role. So in Russia, government and sport are really close, right?
Yep.
That's why, have you ever seen that documentary, Icarus?
Yep.
Yeah. It's like the government is involved,
Yep.
like financially and in other ways. That's Russia. Then if you look at a country like Turkey, right? If you ever
Love Turkey.
About Turkey, yeah. So like Galatasaray, Fenerbahce, like these are huge clubs, almost like how college is for us, right? Like college is like this huge institution that has all these sports underneath. And it's like all the money is kind of just going into this pot and it trickles down. That's kind of how some of these other clubs work in Europe. So it's not the women's team doesn't get paid because they pulled in X amount of revenue. It's just there's money in a pot. They want to have a good team, so they pay you to come. So it's not the same at all. So when you ask, why do you think you made more money over there? It was like this free market where if someone had a lot of money and liked women's basketball, they invested in it and you got paid, like period.
So
and then it became like a pissing contest amongst the owners who can have the better team. And that's when you start to be able to like have the bidding wars of it all.
Would you ever go back to Russia, post Brittany Griner incident?
I mean, not while there's still a war going on for sure. Would I ever go ever? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. That's tough. I say that I have a special place in my heart. I spent 10 years of my life there. I have friends there still. So it's not just like a country to me. It was home for a while.
Yeah.
But given the politics of it all, given how Brittany was treated, no.
Last question before I have to let you go, because this is all everyone wants to talk about in our sports, which I hate. The top five, the number one. Well, Michael Jordan's the best ever. Then y'all can argue all you want. But for you, would love, because you're in there. You don't have to, but you're in there. Give me your top five all-time women's hoopers.
Man, my answer changes all the time. So Diana Taurasi, Maya Moore. Couldn't agree with you more on Maya. They're in there for sure. Sometimes I put Brianna Stewart in there. Sometimes I don't, only because she's like current.
She just went crazy.
Yeah, but this can't be a UConn starting five, though.
I know and it's like, but tell me where I'm wrong. Like, tell me.
No, you're right. Just put Shamika in there. Shamika Holslaw.
Those three, you're gonna be arguing about them the same way you argue about like Jordan, LeBron, Kobe for sure.
Yeah.
So today we'll put her in there. Lauren Jackson, she's from Australia. She's my longtime teammate.
Oh, I know Lauren Jackson.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's tough.
Top five for sure. People forget top five for sure. And then I guess that's four. This is where
Cheryl was cold too.
I was gonna say Lisa, Cheryl, and not a sleeper, but I loved playing with Tina Thompson.
Oh yeah.
I loved playing with Tina Thompson.
Queen Tina, she was the best.
Cynthia was cold too.
Cynthia Cooper, Lady Jordan was cold.
Yeah, Cynthia. So I only played against Cynthia once, and honestly, for her, she was like already in her 30s when the WNBA started.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so
true.
It's like
her and Teresa Weatherspoon.
Yep, Teresa Weatherspoon.
Weatherspoon.
I think today I'm feeling guard happy, so we'll go Cheryl Swoops for my fifth spot.
Okay. I got
but it might be Lisa tomorrow,
Yeah. Yes.
Not bad.
Yes. Well, we truly thank you for the time. We know you're short. You got a lot going on. Please. I did something with Megan in the Palm Springs Desert, California. We did a talk together for it was a VC firm, one of the top ones. And just please let her know that the Bay Area is coming with the National Women's Soccer League team. We got the expansion team.
Okay.
And we'll be unveiling.
Well, we're already done now. You can
No,
cut this.
we're not cutting this. We putting this on
Okay.
there. But tell her we're coming, and I'm super excited for the league. I'm super excited for everything that is coming to our women. Rightfully so. The NIL deals, college. You see what happened with the Final Four, most viewed ever. You know, you've been a part of that trailblazing. The WET and I are planning to be at the All-Star game this year. Super excited about that. Everything that's supposed to be coming your way, we hope it continues to come in tenfold. So really wanted to say, give you your flowers on what you've done for women's sports and how you become an advocate and equality and equal rights, and many blessings to you in the future as well.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been fun. Hopefully I'll see you guys. It sounds like I'll see you in Vegas.
No, we're going to pull up on you. We just going to be popping up on you everywhere.
Okay,
We're going to be
but
at the
I'll definitely
soccer
see you at
games.
All-Star.
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Definitely see you at All-Star. All right, perfect. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time.
See you guys.